What's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Marketing podcast. I should say Let's Talk Marketing with Indub podcast, where I'm your host, Nathan Webster, and I'm excited to chop it up with you today. Today for episode 143, it is the part 2 from the part 1 of understanding the customer journey, what should be in every marketing 101 class. And unfortunately, it's not, but it should be in every business. But unfortunately, it's not. So I want to drop these diamonds so I can ensure you know so that you can prosper. All right. So let's get to what I didn't get to in the very first one of the last episode. For all my first time listeners, thank you for rocking with me. I appreciate you coming on the show, checking it out. I know this might be new, so I'm going to go check it out. If you haven't listened to the first one, please do so. But there's other marketing. I've been doing this for over 6, almost 5. I don't know. Let's not count. But I've been having fun. So that's the main thing. I love marketing. I love helping see it just grow into something beautiful for companies. So that's why I do it. For all my worldwide listeners, thank you for tuning into the show. I appreciate you. I know you're like, hey, Nathan, let's get to it. All right, then, let's go. All right. So last episode, I talked about ending on the experience piece, right? From the branding, I talked about the Keller's model, CBBE model. I didn't tell you it was Keller. My apologies. But the CBBE, which is a consumer-based brand equity model, talk about from the identity to the relationship. And then from there, I was saying you're getting that AIDA, but now this is the whole process because it's a life cycle. And in this cycle, I said, you might meet someone you don't know. And I'm talking for business owners and folks that are trying to get us out here. I'm not just talking to the random stranger. You don't know someone, and then they come in your shop or they click on your website. Boom, they become a customer. What's next? All right. So as my wife and I, we started the company, and we worked with restaurants. And we started to understand that with restaurants, it's a hard time to get people to come back. They have a great experience. You fulfilled their need, they're satisfied, right? They satiated. What type of experience did they have? Sometimes people would tell you straight up they had a good one, but then we would come up against bad reviews. And now a bad review, that's a completely different podcast, okay? So we won't go into that now. But when it comes down to, oh my gosh, I mean, it's not bad, but when it comes to a person not coming back, that means something, especially food. We realize if someone likes a spot, they're going to continue to keep coming back. So I'm going to come back to my notes again because otherwise this will be a 30-minute podcast, and I went longer. That was 15 for the last one. I'm going to try to keep this around 15, if not less, is retention. Retention is the biggest thing when it comes to small businesses, because at the end of the day with Amazon, from the example I used last episode, with Amazon, they have the Prime. They got you locked in, almost said sucked in, but I will say it sucked you in to where you are now part of the model called the subscription. You are buying this. It's attached to your card. Unless you say, do not charge my card anymore, then they're not going to. But in order to get to that level, that experience piece has to be on par. Well, you're not going to really have a subscription model, at least not yet. I do believe it's coming for restaurants. It will come. It will come. Best believe. Mark my words. It will come to have a subscription model. But until that happens, we would talk with restaurant owners, and because some of them were phenomenal chefs, some of them were phenomenal business owners, but they weren't both. And when folks need to stay in the kitchen and need to continue to serve, they don't have a lot of time. And that's a business model that does not have a lot of margin. Which is a whole nother podcast. I should get a restaurant owner on here and we could talk about that journey of how you build retention. And this is where I always tell them, and this is before I truly understood loyalty programs, but everyone uses them now, especially because of the pandemic. If you're not on some form of subscription, some form of loyalty package, you kind of miss out in some ways. So when it comes to the things that we're buying, everyone's looking for a deal. I don't care how much money you have in your pocket. You're not going to just spend your money willy-nilly unless it's exclusive, unless it's like part of that. Okay, that's something different. But we're all looking for a way to where it makes sense. We get the best bang for the buck. And here's where loyalty packages come in at. But you can't just tell someone that just first walks into your store or clicks on your website or commented on your social media post, hey, subscribe and save, and you'll have the best experience of your life. No, people have to experience it. People have to keep that energy that I talked about last week. They have to keep that energy to say, I want to keep this going. And how can I do it in a way it won't stop? Well, that's the loyalty plan. Whatever type of plan, whatever you need to come up with, you need to do that, because this is where you create a fan base. And here's where and why I love sports so much. Sports create a fan base, okay? They create a fan base even though they're getting paid hand over fist when it comes to sponsorships. Here, I won't go on about that. But without their fans, it's not the same thing. Sure, can they play games without a fan, like a stadium? We saw that in the pandemic. It wasn't the same. Now, do they make money on those fans? Absolutely. But there's some things that can't even go into a stadium or arena like that because it costs too much. Those things cost money. So there is a threshold that you have to understand when you get these loyalty. Here, let me reword this. If you want to build a company, or if you already have an existing company, you do need to transition your value proposition to where, like if it's a B2B and a service, you have retainers, or you get this a product where it becomes a subscription. Not to say that a retainer or a subscription model is going to work for everyone, but you have to find a way where that experience is going to be held on to for the folks that enjoyed it. Because some folks say, I really like this, but it's once a year or once every 5 years. It's once every 3. That's cool, but I want more. So here's where, with the customer journey, you are able to encapsulate that. And here's where I would say the best you can, because if you want help, I didn't say this in the last podcast, you can reach out to a brother, right? But if not me, find someone that can help you package what I said from the last podcast. This marketing plan that I've been talking about in the last couple episodes, you have to operationalize that. That needs to be embedded in your company's DNA to where it is just common sense. It's the company's common sense to put this in here, because as soon as you get the folks' attention, with the funnel, where at the bottom is the action is to say, oh, just sign me up. I always want this. You hear what I said? I always want this, because not only is the value there, but it makes sense. As in, money-wise, I can't find this anyplace else. If you don't get that, that means there's something wrong with the value proposition, or something's wrong with the delivery of the value proposition. Now, I'm, for example, let's just use me. I have one of those company or services that it's not for everyone. I have several services that are that way. And I have some of those services where not everyone can afford it. So this is where some people are not going to tell you, I can't afford that. So this is where I mentioned last week, you got to have different options available. And this is where sometimes I've seen it kill people. And I've helped, as my wife and I, we help customers or restaurants say, let's develop this happy hour menu a bit more, or let's add some pictures. Let's break it down. Like what's hard for folks is they can't envision themselves enjoying this because it might be too foreign. You might be too creative. But if you, like, I love hibachi, they show you that, and it's really expensive. I shouldn't say really, but it's expensive. But it's not that expensive when you include all the tricks and the enjoyment. It's a lot of food too, right? So that piece there is providing options to where folks are getting their but like I said last podcast, the subscription model is coming to restaurants. That just has to be figured out because food just man, food's not cheap, right? And there's not a lot of margin when it comes to restaurants. So when you think of the whole cycle of that AI, awareness, attention, interest, decision, take action, that was developed for a one-time purchase. The customer journey life cycle is for you to continuously serve them on a regular basis. Now, you might have noticed my energy has been, I took it down a notch because I do want you to understand, and it's clear, like you have no confusion whatsoever that when it comes to your customer journey, this is where your customer, and you're going to find out real fast, it's not for everybody. So this is where you got to be very clear on your avatar. I've told so many different folks, you can't serve everybody. This is where you are crystal clear. Your avatar needs to be served. And if you can say, like, you might say, I don't have an avatar. That's the problem. You have to find the right people. And when you do find the right people, this customer journey is going to be a walk in the park. But if you haven't found your people, that can mean several things. I'm not going to say that's the only thing, but it could be clearly you haven't found the right type of individuals or company that needs this type of service. And with that, I'm calling it a wrap. Yo, I want to thank you for rocking with me. Hey, I will make this into an article so you can check out. Again, if you need the services to help guide, I just put it in a newsletter not too long ago. I do start with SEMrush. You can go get SEMrush yourself. Go get it. Go check it out. Check out that trial. And this is the very beginning step of the process for me because I do want to understand a person's digital presence and what they do with that presence, because we are digital creatures now in regards to having digital toys that I say digital toys, but we also use them for necessities. And how you show up on those toys for people, because some of these are used as a utility, means a lot. So coming back to your avatar, I figure out, okay, this is what you look like, but who are you trying to serve? It's not about sales, it's about serving. So this is why, for me, I start with SEMrush, and then I start talking about then, who are you serving? Because once we get to the serving piece, now I can say, here's where we start when it comes to your customer journey, what it should look like, how you should live, breathe it. Ooh. And now you're like, okay, I'm making money. I'm getting sales. So I'm like, let's go. Let's do this. So if you need some help, holler at your boy. If it's not me, that's okay too. Find someone to help you. Marketing is literally too hard and too, I would say, vast to believe you can do your special value proposition and think you can do this too. Especially why I decided to come up with this podcast, to see Microsoft and Google starting to go at it with this whole AI stuff where online search, it's going to be a different beast. That means you got to show up differently too. But that doesn't mean the marketing fundamentals doesn't stay fundamentally correct and you got to abide by those. And that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. I'm coming up on my time. So I want to say thank you for rocking with me. Make sure you share, you subscribe, you leave a review, and you rate. Thank you all. Y'all so awesome. I wish you nothing but the best. So dream big and Godspeed.